Hey everybody, this is D.W. Daniel Whited, and I'm coming to you from Kansas City tonight. Miss Helen is in Colorado. She'll be helping us some, and Rob Cohand is on the back office making things happen like only he can. That just pretty well sums it up. Tonight we're getting into a topic in the doctor's clinic call that, quite frankly, most people are afraid to talk about it. And most people are afraid to be honest about where they are with it. And it's one of the things that causes all kinds of challenges and disruptions in families. And I can go on with what happens here, but just letting you know right off the top of the call, that we're getting some stuff, and it is sensitive. And Doc's had some things happen and go on with some of his friends, and we've had stuff happen with friends and family and church members and so forth, and people are just really afraid to get into this part of this topic. So, Doc, welcome to the call. Why don't you introduce kind of a little bit what we're going to get into, and we'll do a little bit of back and forth on this if I think that's what you're thinking, and we'll see if we can't help some people, buddy.
You bet, man. And DW, thanks for getting on the call every week. And I know Barb's not on yet, but Barb Grimdy, thanks for helping and getting everything posted on Facebook and letting people know. And Rob, I'm always behind the scenes, making sure we have good, clean recording. But, DW, on the radio, on the TV, everywhere, we're seeing all kinds of advertisements for, depression and suicide awareness and that right now it's just in the last couple of weeks as we get closer to the holidays, and it really, I guess I thought it was a good time that we better start talking about it and bring it up, make it a subject that we can bring up and maybe help a few people. And there's times in our lives where we all get depressed, we all get sad about something. And normally, your brain is designed, your body is designed so that you're supposed to be able to get through those times. You're supposed to be able to, so that you're once the thing that's causing you to be depressed is gone, your body should snap back out of it. And they've shown, I learned this 20 years ago, 90% of your body's neurochemicals that help with depression, the serotonin, 90% serotonin is stored right around the gut lining, and they're saying that there's a large percentage of us that this neurotransmitter, these chemicals, they're out of whack. They're not balanced out the way that they should be, and so what ends up happening is that chemically, we have some problems going on, and so I wanted to kind of mention that. But at the same time, one of the things that you and I talked about a number of months ago was neurogenesis. We talked about neurogenesis back in August, and some of the latest studies out of Europe show that when your brain isn't building new brain cells, when you quit building new brain cells, you slip into that default. You slip into that depressive mode. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about, a lot of the active ingredients, the extracts that we need to get people to be more aware of, we probably won't get into those really in a lot of detail on the call. What we'll say is go back to the SiselDoctorsClinic.com and refer to the call that we did back in August that talks about neurogenesis, and maybe Rob can post that one up again so people can find it really easily. But DW, I thought start out talking about that, and now I'm just going to hand it back to you. I pulled over in a little town here in New Mexico, so I'm not driving and talking because I usually talk with my hands, and it makes it hard to drive.
You do talk with your hands, both of them, and sometimes your whole body. You get fired up, and I do the same thing. So, we're jumping into this topic this evening because, you can go through, like, I don't know how to, I'll get into some things because your body can cascade, and the end result is it cascades into where people feel like giving up. And so if you're going through a chronic illness, a chronic pain, some of those challenges, it can lead you. But when you just talk about just depression by itself, it is one of the few things that you can go through. A person go through a little bit of a heart attack. You can go through, getting the kidney replaced. You can, all kinds of different kind of massive and major challenges. But you don't at that point, if you're having kidney challenges, you don't go, oh, hey, I want to kill myself, or I want to take myself off this planet, or you convince yourself you don't matter and that you're no good and that you don't have value. And so I want to stop and give you a little tool to think on if you're that person, if you're that guy or that gal that's going through that this evening, and you're hearing this call, and maybe someone loves you enough to where they send this to you, and because you do matter and you do have value. And I've used this, and Doc's heard me do this one at a time, but I've never done it on the phone before, and so we'll see how it comes across. But let's just ask a simple question. And, Doc, I'll ask it, and you can give me some yes and no's here. But would you be willing to take a spoon? Let me just do this. Would you be willing to take your right arm and me take a big, huge axe and just whack off your right arm, and you don't get any sedatives or nothing, and I just take your arm off for $1 million? I'll give you $1 million cash, and you just whack off your right arm. Would you want me to do that?
No way. No way. What if I was to give you $2 million for each eyeball, and I take a blunt spoon and I carve out each eyeball? Would you give me? That's a total of $4 million and $1 million for the arm. Would you take it? Would you take it for your two eyeballs to come out? No. I'm out.
And you see what I'm saying? And so if that's what Doc's physical parts are worth, his arm and his two eyeballs, if that's what they're worth, way more than $5 million that I just offered him, how much is the real Doc worth? The man on the inside, the dude that's been there for so many people for so many years, the guy that has so much value, it's way beyond monetary. You can't even put a price on it. And so to stop the thinking, because we want to attack this on how you think, we want to attack this based on some things on how you're feeling. I mean, you could overload yourself with sugar and get a real high and then get a real low and go through and just initiate a tad bit of depression if you want to do it that way. So let's just stop right now and just you understand this. And Miss Helen's heard me teach and train on this and bring people forward on it. You have tremendous, unbelievable value, and you matter beyond what you even realize. Because you wouldn't go sell your body parts for millions of dollars. You wouldn't do it. You wouldn't say, come in here and whack this and cut that and take that. You wouldn't do that. It's just not who you are. And because you know you have value. And so, and we talk about this, darkness comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Light comes to give you abundance and give you just a massive amount of abundance. We're not going to get real spiritual, religious, but where Miss Helen and I, we're real simple. We pick no bones about it, not ashamed of it. We believe in God. He gives you life. The enemy gives you death. And that's kind of where it's at. So when you're going through something, this is where I want you don't have to be strong enough to get through it. We just want you to be strong enough to do some of the things and get a hold of some people that will help you get through it. And there's nothing embarrassing, nothing to be ashamed of, because sometimes when your body goes through something and you feel depressed and then you start feeling suicidal, and you just think, gosh, I wish I was off this planet. I'd be better off if I wasn't here. You start having those thoughts and you start feeling that way and you start thinking that way. That's the time you go, wow, I need to talk this through with somebody. So get with someone that you have confidence and trust in and start talking about it. And so much of the depression can come from chemical imbalance. It can come from what you're going through, your surroundings and situations. Maybe you're hanging around abusive, mean people, and they just tear you down. Maybe it's time you get a whole new set of friends and some people that believe in you and that trust you and that are willing to spend time with you. Maybe you look at what you're doing physically, because a lot of it's food, a lot of it's toxins. And so, Doc, where do you want to go from here? And because, I can jump into products when you're ready, because there's so many products we have that will thrust you through a foggy. See, some people don't even feel depressed. They just feel like they're in a fog, and they are. Doc, they're really in a fog. They're in a metal fog. There's a lot we can do to get the plaque off the brain, to get the brain energized and feed the brain and get it going again. There's things we can do with diet that can help you tremendously. I'm going to tell you right now, get rid of sugars and get rid of toxins and get rid of gluten. These are things that you want out of your life. And so, but Doc, those are some of the things we can get into.
Yeah. Well, DW, one of the things that you talked about was just trusting yourself and believing in yourself. I mean, that's so true. So many people, they get up in the morning, they go to work, they come home, they make dinner, they watch TV, they go back to bed. And with all these stupid TV shows that people are watching, I mean, oh my gosh, they watch these shows, and it makes them feel that much more depressed because the TV makes you feel like, well, I didn't get to do that. I didn't get to go on that trip. I wasn't the last bachelor standing or whatever shows there are on TV right now. And so it makes people kind of feel like they aren't accomplishing anything. So one of the things that I thought we talked about tonight was, just setting up little goals for yourself so that you can accomplish those goals. Like one of the things that I wrote about in a book chapter that I'm working on is I just wrote, I said, what if you start your day with one goal, one simple goal, that you can get up and at least you can say, hey, I got the bed made, right? I made my bed. So now you can the rest of the day, you go, I got something accomplished. I mean, it sounds silly, but it really is something that you can do. But so many people, they don't know how to set goals. They'll set goals for something they don't have control of. I mean, you and I, we're in the network marketing industry, and a lot of people that I know, they'll set a goal. Oh, I'm gonna enroll 25 people this month. Well, guess what? You're not in control of that. You can't control the time of the people that you're going to talk to. You might enroll 40, but you might enroll one. You might not enroll any. And the thing about it is that's because that's the thing that you can't control. When you go to your regular job, I mean, getting there and getting your job done, going home, that's what you're in control of. But in our industry, what I teach people is that you're in control of talking to people. You can help them make up their mind, things like that. You can use little things, that we can train you to do. But that's what this call is for. But the thing is set your goal on I'll set my goal. I'm going to talk to 3 people every day, 3 new people. I don't care what their answer is. I don't care if it's yes. I don't care if it's no. All I'm in control of is I'm in control of what Kurt does. And so when I started my day today at 5 o'clock this morning, my goal was I'm going to talk to 3 people. And I'm going to do that. Before I go to bed, I'm going to talk to 3 people. I've already talked to 2, and so I got 1 more to go. And I can go to bed then and go, well, I made the bed, so I got the first thing accomplished for the day. The second thing is that I talked to my 3 people. Those are things that I'm in control of, and you can add other little things in there that you want. But those are things that you want to do is set your goals so it's something that you're totally in control of. And then when we talk about depression, like DW and I have both just mentioned, the chemical imbalance. What causes it is that sometimes it's genetic. It runs in the family. That there's certain things going on chemically that it will cause some problems in that area. And we can balance those out. And I know DW is going to talk about some different products and things like that. But one of the issues that a lot of people don't really realize is that toxicity is probably the major cause of depression because the toxins affect the thyroid. And that's just one area. But the thyroid is probably one of the most overlooked causes of depression of any medical problem that there is out there, because the thyroid, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, the thyroid is so susceptible to toxic damage. And so I always, when I'm talking to somebody that's been diagnosed with depression, or maybe they haven't been diagnosed, but I kind of cue in that they might have it, they might be a little bit depressed, I'll start talking to them a little bit about, well, why don't we do this? Why don't we check your body temperature? Check your body temperature right away in the morning. If your body temperature is even low by 1 degree, it tells me that you have a thyroid problem. Now, the regular thyroid test that you doctors do won't detect it because they're looking at just the T3, the T4, the T7, and that's not going to pick up on it, because you can have things like you can have inactive thyroxine, and it looks like on the lab test it looks normal, but when you get really in there and you start chemically breaking it apart, it's not really the thyroxine that your body needs, and so it can cause problems. And things like fluoride and chlorine and bromide, those will affect it. Mercury will affect it. And we can get into a big, long discussion on where those things are found, but we won't do that tonight either, just because, we got to limit the call to 30 minutes. But, we've got some great products for pulling these heavy metals, these toxins like mercury out of the body, with the body shield and all that. DW go into depth on that. And the Fucoid is such a great product for stimulating that and work with that. And then we start looking at things like one of the topics that I really wanted to hit on is the fact that one of the big areas that these drug companies are really focusing on is they're focusing on the elderly. They've decided that that's the market that they're going to go after with these antidepressants, and they're going to hammer them and hammer them. And of course, older people are a little bit depressed. They're sitting there living on 40% of what they learned to live on all their life, and all of a sudden they don't have any money, and they're sitting there and they're just so totally just alone. And as they get older, my mom and dad and I were having this discussion over Thanksgiving last week. I was saying, you look at your friends, look around you. You guys are pretty healthy, and you're out active. They still want to travel. They still want to see the world. And so many people that are, in their late 70s, early 80s, most of their friends are gone. And so, like my 96-year-old patient that I take care of, I asked him, I said, what stresses you out the most? And he said, everybody that he knows is gone. His wife is a lot younger. She's a couple of generations younger, and which makes his kids, a couple of generations younger than that. And they don't have a lot of stuff in common, and so it triggers depression. And so one of the things that we talk about with neurogenesis, stimulate those brain cells to come back into being, making them so that the brain continues to grow, because that's the real cure for depression, is making new brain cells. Well, how do you stimulate that? By making people feel like they're worthwhile, that they got something done. So some of the scientists now are saying we need to create jobs for older folks. We need to create so that they feel like they got something done. And it can't be just a job going to, a Walmart and working at the convenience store, working at the bingo parlor. What they're talking about is creating businesses where they have to set goals, and they have to plan the day, and they have to go out and do the activity, and they're actually in control of everything from start to finish. And so I just want to throw back in there, and DW, from there, I'm going to hand it over to you and let you kind of talk about the products. And I think one of the big products when we're talking about what we're talking about, one of the big products is probably the business itself is a major product. So I'm going to hand it over to you with that.
Okay, buddy. If you want to drive forward a little bit and get a better signal, you're cutting out just a tad, then we'll call at you in a few minutes. Let's jump into this here. One of my best friends on the planet and individuals I have a lot of confidence, trust, and faith in is a guy named Rob Cohan, who helps run this call. I mean, this is This call is promoted by Barb Grundy throughout the internet, and Miss Helen helps with some of the things on getting us off to a good start here. And Rob launches everything and makes things happen. We're kind of a team, but Rob's been going through a challenge, and he's going through some massive pain. He's got a very, I think it's a kind of a rare type of. I'm just going to throw it out there. And if Rob, you can delete this out if it bothers you later, because he has the ability. He can take my words out if he wants to. And, but he's gone through a cancer that's basically attacked, the tongue, the tongue, his throat, and some of those areas, to where he physically is not able to carry on conversations and talk to the degree that he would love to. So you'll hear him do what we call British Rob, and he uses an artificial voice and types in the words and says things there, and it's just quite amazing. I mean, this guy is just brilliant. He's brilliant because he's learned how to figure things out, not because answers always come to him easily. But he just sent me a text. He goes, God provides the wave, and I'm the one who has to grab the surfboard and ride it. And see the attitude right there? This man has the best attitude day in and day out as anyone I know. He's in chronic, massive pain. His body is getting weaker and weaker as it appears. Emotionally and mentally and spiritually, he's getting stronger and stronger, and he's going to win the battle. And we've not talked a lot about Rob, and he's not exposed and shared his story quite yet on what he's going through, but he's going through it, guys. And he's going through it rough. Now, some of the things you use is the right kind of attitude. Can this lead to bad days? Can you go into the victim mode, or you can go into responsible? Victim versus responsible is what you want to think about. Victim means, oh man, woe is me. Responsible means I'm going to believe God to do what He can in the supernatural. I'm going to do everything what I can in the natural. In other words, He's providing the wave, and I'm not going to let the wave wipe me out. I'm grabbing the surfboard and I'm riding it. And that is the attitude to have. That is coming from responsible, doing everything you can in the natural. And so some of the things we can do in the natural, and you're talking about chronic pain, all right? So you're dealing with, he could take quite a bit of the Renovator for pain. And then you start taking what we call our Omega Plus. And if you take like 3 of those, that's kind of like equal to a very, very strong Advil or an Aleve, something like that. These are some things I've just learned, and I haven't got a chance to talk to Ms. Helen about them. But they're tremendous, tremendous boosters when you're going through some pain. So it's a product called Renovator, and another one called Omega Plus. Has coenzyme Q10 in it and has all the fish oils in it. And so it's quite an extraordinary product, and those are massively helpful for pain. The more pain you got, the more you take, and then you just develop the frequency of them. If you're going through a pregnancy and you got things going on there, you want to take a lot of the Omega Pluses. I remember Mary Ann said one time, take it like you're taking candy. I mean, she just, what she was saying is just use what your body can absorb, and it's just very, very, very good for the system. Now, when it comes to just flat out attacking some maybe depression feelings, and one of the things you want to do is detox your system. You would be shocked what is blocking some of the pathways all the way from your brain to your body flow to whatever that can trigger the thyroid, can trigger the depression. So you want to go through a detox, and you may want to go through a very strong one with Facoidin, starting with it, using, taking a quarter of an ounce anywhere up to 7 to 8 times a day, and doing that for 4 or 5 days. That'll help detox the kidney and the liver. And and then you move from that to using the resveratrol to detox with as well, where you do multiple doses a day. And then you also, this is great for headaches and pains as well, is our Spectramax. And it has all the antioxidants in it, but it also has 74 major trace minerals. And a lot of times people that are going through depression, nutritionally, their deficiency levels are at an all-time low, and critical amounts of deficiency when it comes to what's going on with their, with the nutraceuticals. They have a lack of nutrition. You want to feed your muscles and your brain. Your brain works like a muscle. You want to feed it, and you feed it with the Sisel. And so you use that, and you can do half doses and do them 3 or 4 times a day just to feed the brain. And it releases, if you take a full dose over the next 7 hours, it releases protein. And protein is one of the things that can help balance the body chemical. Now, just attack if you really know, hey, I am a depressed guy, I'm going through depression. You want to start off in the morning with your fire and iced tea. Wakes up the brain, wakes up the body, and gives you permission to live. You want to use extra doses of the resveratrol. It gives you permission to live. It helps with that youth gene that's in your body. You want to take Energy for him or her, and you may want to double dose it depending on what's going on with you, and spread that out through mid-morning and mid-afternoon, and kind of spread those doses out a little bit. So those are some really good helpers with it. One of the things that's you're going to find a tremendous blessing is our Ultramax. It is a game changer. It is that thing. If you are irritated and got road rage and you're ready to run over somebody and enjoy doing it, it'll bring you down. If you're depressed and discouraged, it'll lift you up. It'll put you in that happy zone. So I call it the happy vitamin or the happy drink, and it is a game changer. Now, Danielle Lee, Mold's daughter, loves it, has to have it. Miss Helen loves it, and she may share with us in a minute what she thinks of the Ultramax. But it just sustains her and gives her that stability. Now, there's days where she'll drink a third of a bottle, a half a bottle, 3/4, and maybe even the whole bottle. There's days that once in a while, if I'm having a real long, 18-hour day, I might drink a half a bottle in the morning, half in the afternoon. Some days you might just feel like slamming the whole bottle at once. It will give you a niacin rush, which is a phenomenal detox of the blood vessels and the capillaries above the heart going into your face. You'll feel red and flushed when you take it. The Energy for him or for her is huge. Now, here's 2 products that are phenomenal, right along with Energy for him or her. Double up if you need to, but the Brain Vitality is a game changer when it comes to attitude, depression, going through just mental stress challenges, going through positive stress. Here's what I want you to realize tonight. If you're going through stress, the stress can be positive or it can be negative. It'll do the same to your body. You can go out here and you can win the championship basketball game, and there's a lot of stress going into that game and winning it and doing it and being the national champions and the whole bit. It's still, that positive stress will really tax your body. You can lose that game, and that negative stress will really tax your body. And what you want to do is give your body the edge. Well, Energy for him or her is one of those products. The Ultramax is one of those products, and the Brain Vitality. Now, to get the plaque and the toxins, we talk about detoxing. I'm telling you, you want to slam and get a bunch of Body Shield and begin to take that and get heavy metals out of your body. If you're losing weight and your body has foods and heavy metals that it's allergic to, it has stored those foods and those things in fat. And if those things are toxic, for an example, if I was to eat cilantro, I get sick. That stuff is absolutely, to me, it tastes like you took Joy dishwashing liquid and poured it in my mouth. If you're that guy in your body, in your mouth, and that's what you taste when you taste cilantro, which about 40% of the people in the U.S., when they taste cilantro, they taste dishwashing soap. If you're tasting, that means you got allergic reaction. Well, if I eat the cilantro, my body will store it as fat because it's like poison to my system. And so, and Brother Phil knows quite a bit about that as well. And we've done a lot of research on eating according to your blood type and things like that, so you know what your body can absorb. Well, once you start losing weight, you're going to release those things your body has stored that were poisoned. So you want to make sure when you're losing weight, that is a detox. You're detoxing fat, which has toxins in it, which is a toxin. So when you're using the cream on the outside that attacks cellulite, and Recurve is what we refer to it as, that's going to help you get rid of toxins and get rid of the cellulite, which is petrified fat, and it's very toxic to your body. So you want to use that. Yeah, and we've got some other products that you use, and maybe Ms. Helen can jump on here and tell me the one that's called that helps with that on the inside. That's good for guys and gals. The name of it slipped my brain here. I better take some Brain Vitality, I guess. But with that said, you want to be on these things and detox your body. We have a product called Super Detox that you should do it every season. but you also do it when you're losing weight. You want to do it, and then one of the best things for your brain and for depression, believe it or not, is our hydrogen water. A lot of people just, I've been out and about on the road for a long time now, and I've not had my water machine. I'm thinking about trying to figure out how to get one and make one that's portable, because I just could tell a massive difference when you're not filling your body with the extra hydrogen. And so it is a game changer. So let's just recap a little bit here. Get the brain vitality cranked up. Get your Ultramax cranked into gear. I mean, these are things that can help fight depression. And so if you're helping somebody with this, you don't want to throw everything at them at once. You want to phase them into it. You don't want to overdo things in the beginning. It's not like throwing a cold bucket of water on them in the morning to wake them up. You don't want to do that. You want to wake them up out of that fog they're in, out of that depression that's they're in, out of that dark hole that's they're in, just a little at a time. I mean, think about if you was in darkness, all of a sudden someone put a floodlight in your eyes. Man, you close your eyes, you cover them up. You want to just let the light creep until it's comfortable, and then just take your time and ease somebody through it. And we've found a tremendous help when it comes to the brain vitality and the body shield, which gets heavy metals out, which doesn't just take the plaque off the brain, it escorts the plaque out of the brain. And you're talking about the brain vitality begins to help the damage that the plaque has caused, the little pinholes that's on the brain. It helps those pinholes get restored to proper texture of the brain, I guess would be the best way to say it. So energy for him or her, bam. I mean, it's, women that you want to help yourself have a fighting chance against breast cancer, boom. Guys, prostate cancer, boom. That's a preventative product to start with. Now it's also a proactive product when it comes to fighting some depressions and mood swings and things that you're going through. And guys go through them just as much as gals do. It's just the way it is. And so, if you're you got to be honest. You just got to look in the mirror and say, hey, I need a little support this week. I'm getting down just a little bit, or I feel a cold coming on. So you should give yourself support with some of these other things. Another thing that's fantastic to use also, when you're getting colds, is to get a little spray bottle of the Terminator and be spraying that in and on your throat over and over and over every 5 minutes. And it works better than cough syrup and all that junk you would take. So that's some stuff that will help you. The omega pluses are going to help with depression. The omega pluses are going to help with also giving your body your body's going through pain. And here again, this is a new discovery, and new studies have just come out on what we have in omega plus, how it helps with pain, like Aleve does, and some of the other products. Renovator, so we want to attack it. The Triangle of Life is another game changer. The sizzling really makes a massive difference. And if you're not a coffee drinker, I'm going to highly suggest the Thermaline 500, because it gives you all those components. We have components in our coffee that help with the brain, to help with the digestive tract, help with the cardiovascular, help with building up the immune system. And so you can get that in the Thermaline 500. Plus, it also has a very natural energy component in it as well. So I hope that helps out a little bit. Miss Helen, you want to say anything about Ultramax and that the one product that's relatively new,
It's the Transfigure, I think is what you're...
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, the Transfigure, and so I get Transfusion, Transfigure mixed up a little bit. Transfigure works from the inside out, but you know what else it does? Slowly builds muscles. It helps build your muscle nice and slow and easy. Not a fast build, just nice and easy. It is a game changer. And when you build muscle and you're starting to use your muscles and you get the sugar and the junk out of your muscles, you're going to feel better. So we didn't get into diet, but just get rid of the junk food. Stop it already with the junk food and start eating clean. But what do you want to say about Ultramax?
I think it's my favorite product. It just really...
Ultramax is your favorite product?
Yeah.
That's your favorite?
I think so. Yep. Wow. Yep, it really helps, just makes, lifts me up and just keeps me just emotionally and mentally just even all day long, combined with the energy for her and the brain vitality. Those three together just really help.
And we love our Triangle, don't we, babe? We love it as well.
Absolutely. Love Triangle. Definitely.
It's kind of your foundation. So, but so you found a lot of relief and help with those.
I think the coffee's my foundation there, DW.
It's in your veins, brother. We know how you roll. Yeah, and I tell you what,
that chaga is so important. One of the things when Tom first came out with the coffee, I started researching chaga because I'd never heard of it before. And over in Russia, since early 1900s, they've been drinking chaga tea just for the balancing the adrenal glands, just to make it so that the Russian athletes and politicians could handle stress better. They forced the Olympic athletes, the Russian Olympic athletes, to drink chaga tea when they were working out, when they were doing heavy workouts. Isn't that something?
I love it. That's amazing. Doc, what else do you want to add before we jump into this? I mean, find a friend you can talk to as well. But Doc, what else you want to add to what we're talking about? Did some of that help what I was saying product-wise?
Yeah, exactly, right. And the whole thing is that we're setting our kids up for failure right now. If we take a look, 100 years ago, the average person consumed 14 or 15 pounds of sugar in a year. Now it's up to about 150 pounds a year each person in the United States consumes each year, and so that includes the kids. And when you're giving these kids these sugary drinks and this sugary food, what it does is it forces the receptors, getting into a little neurology here, it forces the receptors to be overactive. And so then as those little infants and children grow up and teenagers, all of a sudden now their receptor sites are so active, they got to be stimulated, constantly stimulated. And so that's why you find these kids having to play video games all the time, because it's that constant stimulation. And then we tell the kids, oh, man, we got to slow you down. So we put them on Adderall and different kinds of drugs, and we diagnose them with ADD and things like that. But when they get to be adults, then all of a sudden, now it's not ADD, now it's depression. So we start giving them antidepressants. And so it all starts from that childhood on. And so if you're young parents, start looking at that now. What can you do? And that's why, like Katie Larking and I were talking earlier today, and she said that's why exercise is so good, because it'll stimulate those receptor sites, and it'll make it so that they don't have that constant need for sugars and things like that. And so exercise is great. And then DW, I know we're running overtime, but I just want to say this. As we move into this Christmas season, we're moving into this holiday season, and people are going to be depressed. I'm going to tell you something that I do. My parents are getting close to 80. My dad turns 79 in just 4 days. And one of the things that I do is that I go home and I know how to change my own spark plugs. I know how to change my own oil, all those different things. My dad taught me that when I was just not even a teenager. But I go home and I ask my dad little questions like that. I'll say, hey, Dad, can you help me out with this? Can you help me out with changing my oil? Can you help me out with rotating my tires and things like that? Because it's making him feel like he's doing something, he's worthwhile. It's creating that sense of worth. And so do that in your family, create that sense of worth with everybody that you're around. Ask them to do little things. Hey, son, could you just wash those dishes? Things like that. And just, little things like that, and especially with the older folks. Again, as people are getting older, you got to remember that they didn't grow up with computers. They grew up with rulers, and some of the older folks don't even use calculators. They still do all their math in their head or the longhand on paper, and so the world has kind of passed them by. The world's going so fast. Technology has passed them up so much that they're not keeping up, and that creates depression as well. And so think about that when you're asking them things, when you're asking them to do things in terms of what they learned, the things that they're good at, the things that they learned how to do, the way that they learned how to do it. And if you keep doing that, what you're going to do is you're going to keep them from slipping into that depression, and just constantly be thinking about things like that. If you know people that tend to get depressed around the holidays, get in touch with them. Just call them up, say, hey, I was just thinking about you today, and I want to know, do you need me to come over and help you out with something? You know, do you want me to do this? Do you want to come over and do this with me? You want to go out and go bowling? Whatever it happens to be, think about those things. You know, it's not always throwing stuff at people. Sometimes it's just asking them to be part of life again, getting them to be part of it, and it can really make a huge difference. So DW, I know I talked a little bit too long there, but
we get fired up. Yeah, we get fired up. I did the same thing, Doc, and what Doc is saying is you know, Kurt, you're right on track, brother. I mean, just stop, listen, spend some time with somebody. And we're talking about the coffee. Rob sent me a text as well. He makes sure through his feeding tube that he takes the coffee, cools it down, and then runs it through the feeding tube so he can absorb the chaga into his system. I'm just telling you, he's a man after Doc's own heart. And instead of getting all depressed and mad and upset, I can't drink coffee like normal buddy, he figured out a way to get the stuff, get the ingredients in his system. And I'm just proud of him. And Rob, we love you bunches, buddy. And Miss Helen and I we love you, and so does Doc and everyone. And Ray is talking about you this weekend as well. And so we're right there for you. Just, you know, we'll stay in touch in the whole 9 yards. But everybody, reach out and touch someone. Share this call with them. This is a real issue that people go through. And it doesn't matter who you are, because depression, discouragement, frustration, it doesn't care. It grabs a hold of every single one of us from time to time. And we can absolutely own it, beat it, destroy it together, not by yourself, together. Well, Doc, that's it for the call tonight. Everybody, thank you so much for being part of it. Hopefully you got some good stuff out of it. If you enjoyed the call, post something on Facebook about it, and Rob will have it out in a little bit, and where he posts that, you know, spread it, share it with some people. Say, listen to this. This company cares. These people care, because you know what? We do care. That's it for the Doctor Clinic, where the world is your waiting room, and we can make an impact and make a difference. Dr. Kurt Fisner, thank you. Miss Helen, thank you. Rob, double hugs, and thank you to everybody. And Barb Grindy, we love you. Thank you for all what you do.
Thanks, everyone. Merry Christmas.